Hey, there he is.
How's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Jess.
Oh, good to see you.
Sharan.
You doing? Hi.
Good to see you.
The
Aw.
real Mike. Hey, Darren.
What's up, guys?
There he is.
Hey.
Man, it's nice to see you guys.
Good to
Yeah.
see you too, man.
Our goal of like monthly shows got thrown off track by busy schedules for sure.
Awfully busy. Awfully busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a whole station here that she let me use the computer. So
Oh, nice. Oh, look
You're
at you.
all set.
look at this. Oh, wow. Look at
On a lower thing.
this. I know. Just
What I noticed with the doing the other pod is like every week we figured out like little things, and then every week you just get a little better at, like cleaning up something, like so you went from on your phone for the first one to now you're like,
First two. This is the first week I felt unprofessional. I wanted to step up the game a little bit. So I asked Jess.
man.
Oh man, I got some questions for you boys. I'm scribbling them
Uh-oh.
down. I got the notepad out.
Well, let's just dig right into it. What do you got?
Oh, I'm excited to hear about. So when we first started all this, like we all kind of had a goal, a particular goal that we were going into,
Right.
and you guys hit those. So you had your half marathon, and Darren, you had the big. It was it a relay race, that big trail run?
I did just now do a relay race, but probably yeah, that'd have been probably it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So those are both pretty cool, and I wanted to hear all about them.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it, Darren. How'd it go?
Uh, it went kind of medium, I'd say. We finished kind of middle of the pack. Our
Okay.
team did. I didn't run my best, but what do you do? Sometimes it goes that way. I having come home from Nicaragua, I kind of had something funny going on and a little bit of dehydration.
Oh, how
And
long was the race after getting home?
about a week to not 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
And my guts weren't quite right, but I was running a little dehydrated, and I had never in my entire life had cramps. Where you'll have a cramp and it'll like lock your leg straight. That's never happened to me before. And I got about just before mile 10. I was kind of running at kind of a medium pace, and then I ran into this dude who was running the whole relay. He was running all four spots on his team,
Oh, wow.
so he was really going for it.
Wow.
And he was on his third leg, and I was the leg three of our team. So I ended up running with him for a while, and we got to the bottom of the mountain because it goes the first 10 miles kind of flat with some downhill, and you bob and weave all the way down to the New River, and you hit the New River, and you kind of run with the river for a second. There's an aid station right about mile 10, and after that it goes back to the top of the mountain where you started, about
Oh,
4,000
is it
feet
like a
up.
whole bunch of switchback, or what is that?
So the first thing you do is like you start up a mild uphill, and then you hit a rock scramble where it's like this, and it's just there's not a trail. You're fighting up a rock slide.
Jeez.
It's You gain a bunch of it real quick right there.
Oh man.
Wow.
But I'd never had I got a cramp in my calf, and then it happened in the other calf, and then it happened in my right quad, then it happened in my left quad. So and I was like, well, this is going to be entertaining for the rest of the race. So I ended up what did I'm trying to remember. My time was just I wasn't under 4 hours by a lot. It
Okay.
I was like 350 something like that.
But you did
And
like 15 miles, right?
yeah, it's 15 miles with like 4,000 feet elevation gain.
Wow.
But it was that was a weird thing to have to run through that for the last 5 miles, and it's all the uphill stuff.
Yeah.
The race guy, the guy who put the race on, uh, he was at the 10 mile uh, aid station. There was the first aid station I came to. There was no one there. There was just some coolers to drink water, and the next one, kind of the same thing, but he was there restocking the coolers. And he's like, "How's it going, guys?" I said, "Well, I just got my first ever cramps. I've never had like a cramp where it just locks the muscle up and straightens your joint. And he's like, and because he knew what was coming. He knew literally I was right around the corner from this stinking rock scramble. And I was like, oh, and he's like, oh, okay, well, all right, guys. And he went out in the truck and left. He told me when I completed, when I got done, he said, when you told me that at the 10-mile mark, I was like, oh God, I should leave.
So how do you work through it? Is there anything specific that you do? Do you have to get down mentally, or do you stretch that out and keep going, or what do you do?
Yeah, every time it happens, you kind of like squeeze it, rub that out a little bit, stretch it a little bit, drink something, and keep grokking.
Yeah.
And try not to like take as like when you fully extend, like let's say when I fully kick my leg out forward at a run, then my quad is more likely to do it. And when I come in the other way, my calf was more likely to do it. So I just kind of had to change your gait a little bit.
Oh yeah, because whatever is engaged, that's what's likely going to cramp up on you. So
Yeah.
the gait, oh, you almost tricked the muscle itself.
I tried.
You kind of answered one of my questions. I was wondering, because you do lots of trail runs, but
yeah, for fun.
How was the condition of the trail? So the rock scramble, that answers part of it, but had you trained for a lot of what else you saw out there, or?
I didn't train as hard for this race. I was like, it's only 15 miles. I should be able to do that. And I was like, that paid for that a little bit.
Over 50, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me and Sean are the same way. Like 15 miles, it's like we'll do that in our sleep, you know.
Yeah.
Cake.
I'm doing one right after this. I'm just gonna go out there and get after it.
Let's wrap this thing up. Jake's got a run to do. You got 15 to burn.
It was definitely an entertaining experience. It also, I got put on the leg of the race. That was probably the worst because it got hot. And they're like, oh, you'll probably be shaded some. I was like, did not matter. It was stinking hot. I was sweating.
Like what hot?
It was in the 80s.
Okay.
In the low 80s, like 80 degrees, which seems not that bad, but kind of ended up being a little rougher than I thought it'd be.
Especially for the elevation.
Yeah.
You're climbing like that? Oh yeah, I imagine it gets hot pretty quick.
Somebody else told me there was a creek crossing at this big waterfall. It's beautiful. And I'm burning up hot. And I was like, that water was ice stinking cold. And I was like, you know what? I'm going for a swim. I just tossed my pack on shore and whoop, just got in all the way in. And the guy I was running with, the random dude I met on the trail, he was saying, there's an awesome waterfall we can swim at. We're almost there.
That's cool.
So somebody told me that running through, when you submerge yourself in cold water like that, sometimes that'll bring on cramps too. And I was like, and it didn't happen till after that. So I don't know the truth of that. I haven't ever looked into it because this has never happened to me before. But it was the waterfall was beautiful and the water felt awesome. So I don't really regret it.
So side note, how is the new national park? Is it pretty sweet? Like
it is. Cool. I like it. The New River Gorge has always been pretty cool, I always thought, but they're you got some trails that you can go do. There's a ton of rock climbing. There's just a lot of stuff to do there. The whitewater rafting is kind of awesome. This time of year, the New River's kind of rolling. You've been getting a little bit of rain. So that's what we ought to do, is plan a trip to go whitewater rafting.
That'd be fun.
Would be fun.
Sean, you gonna come out to West Virginia?
We've been talking about that, man. You guys were all partying out there, and I said, man, we gotta get out there. We gotta get out there with the gang, man.
Yeah.
So that's on my list too. But I want to hear. But before we're done with you, though, Darren, I wanted to hear, because it was a relay. How much of the team, does that all come into play, or is it because your leg is on you? Is it still kind of like a solo game, or does that factor in at all, having the team?
Having the team does make a difference. Like the first group, there was like 4 teams that were with our group, and it's 4 teams of 4. So the first group in that morning, they all finished together. Okay. And then Crescenda was running the second leg of ours, so she got ahead of the rest of the people that started when she started. And so I was like we had a little GPS turned on so we'd know when we needed to be back at the starting line. And so I was like, oh, she's ahead of those guys. That means I got to go get ready. I wasn't quite ready yet. I was like, I got to go. So we ran up to the starting line. I got all my stuff on, got my pack on, and got ready. And she come rolling through. She's probably, I think they had run into some issues too. The other people that were at that kind of had gotten behind her. And so then I jumped out, took off. Literally, I go about 100 yards and I'm like, oh, start my watch. So I start trying to start my watch. And I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, oh, and almost like full.
Oh, no.
I'm only 100 yards from the starting line at this point, so in front of everybody.
Just yard sale, 100 yards in.
Yeah, just like, pow.
It's funny.
Oh man. Well, so how did it feel afterwards?
It felt pretty good. It's so funny because I ran the third leg, so I got done, and I kind of felt bad for my buddy Thomas because he was running the fourth leg, which meant he's finishing in the dark. And he did it. I was like, I hope you're going to be a lot cooler in your weather, which is going to be helpful. But also, you got to have light because it's like there is no lights. It's just wilderness coming up off that mountain till you get close to the end. And he did it. Yes, he had a headlamp actually.
So was it all like 4 hours? Like, were you all about the same as far as time?
Crescenda was a little over 3 hours. She was the fastest. I was like 3:50. Thomas was in the low 4.
Okay.
And I don't remember who.
So it's a long day. It's like a full day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking. Yeah. All of them were 4 except. Crescenda was just a little faster than everybody else. I was almost 4. Thomas just barely over 4. And the one in the morning was just barely over 4.
Gotcha.
And so what was the total mileage? What did you guys cover in the day?
15 times 4. So it's like 50, 60 miles.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
It was entertaining for sure. There was another group that was kind of with us, but kind of not, that were from Baltimore. And I felt really bad for them because there was different legs of this race that were like, you could sign up to run 2 laps and just and the one group, there was a mom that was running 2 legs. That was her part of the race. And so she had her 2 daughters running with her. And the 2 daughters were on other teams so they could run at the same time. And like one ran with her the first route, one ran the second. Well, that put them behind. And the guy who was finishing for them, man, he didn't finish till like 1:32 in the morning.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Like he absolutely like, yeah. I felt really bad for him because I was like, when it was time for him to go, I'm like, oh, it's almost dark now. He's running this whole thing in the dark. Which will drives your pace like right in the ground. And that poor guy, but he did it. And says a lot about somebody when they can persevere through all that nonsense. And it's like, now it's super late, you're super tired, all the stuff. I was like, go, man.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. He'll have a story to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, congratulations, brother. That's awesome.
So how about yours, Jake?
Healthy. Yeah, let's hear it, man.
It was like it was good. It was I didn't train like I wanted to. Like I ran like once a week, and it would be like a long run, but with just life and work and everything going on, and I was still playing.
You were doing was it the Nike app that kind of had a program?
Yeah, but the Nike app was saying like 5 runs a week, and I was doing like 1.
Okay.
And I was working out and playing basketball when I could, but it was just like so busy the second that I committed to it.
Yeah.
And then also like it was winter in New York, so it was just gross.
Yeah.
And get dark quick and be rainy, so it was tough to like train, but I felt like pretty ready. I wasn't like I wasn't going for a certain time. I wanted to be I wanted to be under 2.5 hours, and I think I finished at like 2 hours and 33 minutes or something like that. So I was like right where I kind of figured I would be for my age and experience and all that. So it was really cool because it was a nice day. Brooklyn is just cool. Like it's just like a cool place, you know, and I put on like a bunch of like Brooklyn hip hop and just like went for it. And the one thing I didn't train for, because where I run, it's pretty flat, and Brooklyn's not super flat. Like Flatbush isn't flat, and then there's a couple sections where you're running like slightly downhill for like a good portion of time, and then you know you're gonna turn, and then it's like a double back, so you're watching everyone going back up, and you realize all that slow decline, you're gonna have to go back up.
Okay.
So it was just like it was a grind, and I got up to 10-mile runs, and so I don't think I walked for the first time until after 10 miles, but
Nice.
I got to like 11 miles and you're just done. You're just like gassed.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I couldn't finish. I just felt like this is just going to be a grind. And it was just uh, a jog and just like, let's just get this done. And there's definitely like a part of it of a distraction with so many people watching and all along the route and seeing your friends and stuff that help you be a little distracted, but it's just tough. Like it's a grind.
So
So
that was one of my questions. Did was about the first one was about your training going into it. If you felt like you trained well, and then if there if there were things that you hadn't seen like that, was there some mental toughness that you had to dig down and get a hold of? Like when you hit that 11-mile mark, did you have to start talking to yourself a little bit, or did you have the playlist to carry you right through, or what was it that? Because you said you
yeah,
knew you were going to, and you knew you
it
were going to finish.
yeah. So like I felt like if I can run 10 miles, I can run 13. But if you can run 10 miles, you can run 10 miles. So then when I got into mile 11, I'm like, oh, this is like uncharted territory. Like, because you're just like, it's almost like, it's not like doubling, but every mile you go, you're like adding difficulty. So when you get to 10 or 11, like, it's not like 11's a little bit harder than 10. It's like somewhat hard, like significantly harder. And then 12 significantly harder than 11. It's like, it compounds a little bit to where that little last stretch was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Um, I still felt good. I felt like I could do it. It was just a mental grind a little bit, and you got to just put on some music and not focus on the distance. But that's kind of how my brain works. So I'm constantly just analyzing, like, okay, I've done this much, so I have this much left. Like I don't ever just get into the run. I'm always just like, how long until this is over, sort of feeling.
So
How
then,
did, how did it,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Darren.
how did it affect you mentally when you're coming down the hill and you're like, and now you're seeing the other people going back up when they had to double back? Like you're like, oh man, I've got to redo this.
It was like started going down the hill, and I'm like, oh, okay, we have a little bit of a double back. And then when you realize you can see far out, you can't see the end of you can't see the double back. Like it's so far away that like you're thinking, oh, we'll go down a few blocks and then come back. And you realize it's like 2 miles. I think we hit that at like 8, and then it was 10. And then it was just like so much farther than that. Just kind of like got me in. Like I just had to kind of prepare a little bit. And it wasn't steep, it was just a slow incline, just enough to be kind of tough, you know.
Your legs feel a little bit heavier, huh?
Yeah, I feel like at any point, even on my runs up to 10 miles, I could pick it up whenever I wanted to. I just was trying to like pace myself. After 10 or 11, it's just like I couldn't pick it up anymore. Like I couldn't just start running. I just had nothing. I felt pretty, at the end, I felt like I didn't really have much left.
Left it all on the field.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nice.
So
That's it, man. So when you saw the finish line, when you crossed the finish line, how did it feel?
Um, felt good. Like it felt like you accomplished something, but then you're with like thousands of people. You're trying to find your group. There's no cell service because everyone's on their phones. Um, it just became like chaotic. We ended up walking like almost 2 more miles just to find everyone because we couldn't get a hold of each other. So by the time we like
Did you
met
want to
up
count
with our
those two
group,
towards the total?
oh my God. By the time we met up with our group, it was like I just had nothing. Like I just wanted to like, and then we walked more because we were in the city and
Oh God.
it was good. The whole experience was good, but it was like it was a grind a little bit. So
That's tough, man.
yeah.
Well,
What about you, Sean? How's it going with the your
uh,
goal?
it's coming along, coming along. I think I'm at 9:55 right now.
Nice.
Jeez.
I got there a couple 2, 3 weeks ago, but then I've been again like you guys been really really busy. So I haven't lifted as consistently as I wanted. I was out of town last weekend. I got sick this weekend, even for the long weekend off work, and I was supposed to have Friday off. Ended up going into work, and then came down with a bug, so didn't lift like I wanted to.
Mhm.
But staying consistent. I feel like what I have is mine. I'm not like afraid of backsliding a whole lot. It seems like what I've built is kind of sticking with me. So yeah, so that feels good. I have switched over because I think when I first couple times I talked to you guys, like every time I lifted, I was just going like pyramid up to pretty much to failure, like 1 rep, 2 reps to failure, and then to do a drop set all the way down. And I was doing that with all three exercises, but I'm doing more like the 5x5 that you hear people talk about. So once I had gotten some PRs, then I just, like, and I talked to a bunch of other people. They were saying, hey, don't worry about going so heavy all the time. Darren, you told me, you got to give um, the nervous system. You got to give your nervous system a break by going,
Yeah.
from super heavy all the time. So I thought about that a lot, and those 5 for 5s, you feel strong doing it because it's 80%, so you're moving some weight, but you
Oh
feel
yeah.
strong doing it. And you're like, all right, so mentally it's good. So that's what I've been doing, and we're climbing. We're climbing a little bit at a time. One cool thing is I'm out of weight for deadlift. I only have
Oh,
330 pounds at the house, and I used it all up. So so that's a
That's
good problem.
awesome.
I get to go buy some plates pretty soon, so
that's cool.
that's pretty fun.
That is super cool.
My bench is still funny. I cannot get past 285, and I've been there for like 2 years. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But I think maybe this 5x5s. I think and not trying to max often. I think that's gonna get me there. But squats feeling strong. I think I did 330 was a new PR for me squatting, and it felt good. I'm trying to get. I'm Darren. Nothing you talked to me about when Kevin was with us about getting comfortable down in the hole. And so I've been working on that, and using a little bit of lighter weight is good for that. And so I think that translates, putting a little bit of lighter weight across your shoulders, going all the way down and not, all the way down and then worried about if it's going to come back up or not.
Yeah.
Lighter weight and getting comfortable down there, and then having a good push, clean, breathing all the way through, locking out. I had spooked myself a little several weeks back. I felt like I was breathing, but it was I had gotten to 325. It was the first time I racked 325, and I went black a little bit for just a split second coming up. And you can see it. I record all the every set, because I want to see if my knees are caving. But you can see, even in the video, like all my legs both went like that, and then it went back up. Like, oh, that's not very good. So that was another motivation to, like, not rack super heavy all the time. Make sure I got it before
Yeah.
I pretty much want to know I can move the weight before I actually rack it and go for the next PR. I want to be pretty confident that I can move it.
Yeah.
Scared me a little
That's
bit, but
smart. I mean, you don't want to like push it farther than you farther than you know that you can, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, you don't want it because that's how people wind up getting hurt.
And then the whole thing's done. But I am glad that I gave myself, a good long time. That I gave myself a whole year to do it. And
Yeah.
I didn't think it would take a whole year. I really didn't. I thought I'd be at 6 months. I really thought I'd be there. But I think I'm glad that I got the whole year to do it because it ain't coming fast, man.
Turns out it don't function. Nothing functions like it used to when we get a little older.
Exactly. Man, that is the truth.
How long would it like so back in the day, like 20 years ago, would you have just been able to do it in the first week, or would it have taken a couple weeks? Were you already there?
That I think I was there, but I never did actually tally up and do it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would have taken very long. I think it probably would have taken a couple, 2, 3 months, especially for well, because I know I had benched over 300 pounds when I was younger. And so I think that's where I really need to, if I can get my bench to 300 pounds now, then I think we're going to beat it. And so I think for the other two, for deadlift and squat, if I would have dedicated a couple of months when I was 20, and that 26 or 36, I felt pretty strong.
Yeah.
Before 26, I was too light. I was too lightweight. I was 165 pounds. I just wasn't heavy enough to really, I felt stronger once I hit 170, 175, 180. I felt stronger, and then, till about 36 years old. We moved down to California when I was 36, and I quit going to the gym a year before that. But I felt like it actually held on to it pretty good.
Yeah.
And then everything, I just let it all go downhill from there.
Then life happens.
Yeah, life happens. Start playing in the ocean instead of going to the gym, which is good.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for playing in the ocean. It's
100%.
it's good for you in other ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I haven't been out there still. I haven't been out there very often. But I got other things. My head is good.
That's good.
Pretty good. I've had a couple of, poor Jess probably rolling her eyes in the background.
Where would you say your head is compared to where it was the first time we talked?
Better, better, yeah. Yeah. And I was already, by the time we had all first gotten together, I was already doing better than I was last year. So compared to this time last year, leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, leaps and bounds better.
How do you think you guys handle, because I'm struggling with this right now, how do you think you guys handle work situations that are out of your control? Because it's a struggle for me. Like, I feel like as a contractor, you're like responsible for everything. So you're putting together schedules and you're relying on other people. And that can be hard because a lot of stuff you can still kind of control, but sometimes you can't. Like, it's just not up to you, or you can't like, how do you guys feel like you handle that kind of stuff, if that makes sense?
For me, I don't think I end up, the burden doesn't fall on me like it does with you.
Yeah.
So I'm a contractor, but a sub, and I do all my work through one guy.
Yeah.
And so we really are set up that way so I can be a piece worker and I pay my own taxes and pay, but that way it kind of makes it easier on all of us, but I'm licensed and bonded and everything. So, but he still does he does all the, not most of it, he does pretty much all the scheduling and
Okay.
everything. So I don't have that same burden, same burden. Like you shared a few weeks ago when you're like, I think you're out of town in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Was it? Everything pushes. It's out of your control.
Yeah. But there's also just a backstop of like, this is when they're going to be a store. Like, this is when they're going to move furniture in and clothes. So we have to be done by this date. And it's like, I can only do, I have to rely on other people. I just mean like, Chelsea's like, you can control your own yourself. Like you can control how you handle this. And I just like, I don't sleep well and I stress and I just like, if she wakes up at 4 in the morning and turns over, I'm just like awake or, like I'm just feeling it. So it's like we all have work stuff that we deal with. It's just input from you guys on how to like manage that or keep it controlled a little bit.
Yeah. One of the first things I always remember, because one of the best things you can do is have good people. The people like reliable, good people. And that's in any part of your life. But when they're doing work for you, they need to be reliable. And like those guys kind of stiffen you, then you're the one carrying the brunt of that. If you can find and develop a relationship with somebody that's a little more reliable, they're going to get their work done, and that's going to keep you from being pigeonholed. That's literally one of the things I've learned. Good help's hard to find, and actually just at this point, help's hard to find, but good help's hard to find and hard to keep. But if you can find it, it can make such a difference in just how you sleep at night. But because I deal with some of that too with work.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys that you work with and work for you or that you manage in some way.
Yeah, and you can't help there's going to be some catastrophes, and if you're the guy in charge, then sometimes the buck stops with you.
Yeah,
like this weekend's a holiday weekend. I had to go into work because some customers we called this guy and we're like, hey, we're going to be closed tomorrow, so this excavator you want to come pick up, you got to come today.
yeah.
And because he's got Verizon cell phone service, his phone doesn't work in Kentucky or in West Virginia. Sorry, in West Virginia. So he comes to the shop thinking we're going to be open. Shows up, and he's like, I drove 200 miles to do this work at my cabin, and so he figures out my cell phone number. I made a mistake. I'm selling my motorcycle and I had it sitting off to the corner with my cell phone number on it. That was on me. So he called my cell phone and I'm like, I'm not at my house. I'm in a cabin up on the mountain for the weekend. And finally I'm like, somebody else calls, and then it's like 2 or 3 of those. I end up going ahead and going in. And you take care of like 6 people.
Yeah.
And it just turns into this thing. And I'm like, they're messing up my vacation. But one of the things that happened is I had a guy that broke something, but I had a driver who I can count on. He's like a super good dude as far as like being willing to go. I call him. He's like, all right, I'll swap him. He drives to the shop, gets the machine, swaps him, comes back, goes home.
Yeah.
And it's having reliable people is a huge deal, but
I think
it's hard. It's hard to deal with, like when you with your situation a little tougher than mine, because you're kind of the main guy and the other guys aren't necessarily your employees. They're kind of subcontracting, right? Isn't that kind of how that is?
Yeah, they have all their own work too, and I feel like I try to be understanding to. I think I'm learning like for myself, like me and my buddy Luke were talking the other day and he was like, I could see a way where I need to be better. And he's like, okay, well, let's talk about that. And it was like, I feel like I put a reasonable schedule together, but maybe I don't, or maybe I need to give more time or more, it's like, but I'm also not, I think what's hard with contractors is like, they all kind of seem like jerks. They're also responsible for everything and they're answering to like everyone. So it's like they're responsible for everything that gets done on the job. They're also responsible for a schedule that someone else makes because that's when they need to move in or that's when they need to start their store. And then you're responsible for the relationship with the building and the people that might own the building. There's like all these people, it comes back to one person, and that person can at times get testy because they just have like so many people to answer to.
And it's got to be rigid because if he gives Fudge's a little bit over here, and then Fudge's a little bit for this guy over here, then 1 or 2 of those, it doesn't take much for the whole schedule to be out of whack.
Yeah.
And
So
you're probably good about this already, but I was just gonna say, how is like lines of communication for everybody? I think because for me, like when I go home and I can't, if I was to carry that kind of stress and I'm thinking about it through the night, it's because there's a bunch that's unsaid and I'm wondering who's thinking what and who's got that. So like if something comes down the wire,
yeah.
is it kind of a thing where you can right away get on the horn to the tenant or whoever and be like, okay, I just want to keep you guys up to speed. This is what's happening. I know where this is our date, but just
Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's like you put an arbitrary date on it and it's not even someone else. It's like on this one, it's just that I'm not getting pushed by anyone other than myself. So then it's like, I mean, now I'm getting pushed. Trying to manage that mental, my own personal peace, because I can't control things that are out of, I have no control over. But
and you
ultimately
feel like
fall
you
on
gave
me.
a pretty reasonable
I'm
big
trying to
window.
be, but like we could do. I think we could do like a whole episode on just work and how we manage work and how we like don't try to not let it affect our personal lives and stresses.
Yeah, that is. I feel like this subject definitely deserves a lot of thought because, like, I don't always think about I struggle with my sleep and I deal with a lot of junk at work too and all this stuff and I don't necessarily have a good answer for how I even deal with it. I'm probably a little bit like you. I wind up stressed out. I wind up dealing with a bunch of stuff. You deal with angry customers. You deal with angry employees. Things that go bad. People break stuff, and just you wind up. I don't know. I think that's part of the reason that we started this podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can this be part one of a bigger conversation? And let's try to meet back in the next week or so.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, it's been too long anyways.
Yeah, it'd be
Oh,
good.
I
For us
started
to
sending you guys all those memes.
Yeah.
It's my cry for help.
Let's make this
What's
part
going
one of
on
a
right out here
bigger.
on the West Coast.
Let's make this part one of a bigger conversation. Like, we've covered like our runs and our workout goals, but let's talk more about how we manage our day-to-day lives.
Okay.
I like it.
Real quick, I'm gonna just do one song, Seneca Falls by the Distillers. What do you got, Sean? What do you got?
Can I still do a couple?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
So I'm gonna start out classic again. And I feel bad that I've been neglecting Merle Haggard. So
Okay.
I think I'll sit here and drink Merle
Okay.
Haggard. Then I'm gonna go with the newer country, and it went down between Luke Bell and Zephaniah Ohura, but I got Zephaniah Ohura that's playing a lot.
I like him.
So with that one, he can have tomorrow. Zephaniah
right.
can have tomorrow. Sorry, Darren, I did it again, man.
It's all good, dude. It's all good.
Yeah, just can't shut up.
It's almost like it's also kind of like our therapy too, for like just sit down and talk and work.
Big time.
Yeah.
I feel like I could go on for like just like this situation I'm dealing with now. It's like I could just go on forever.
I could listen to you guys for an awful long time.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same here. I'm glad that Jake put this one back together again because I was like, I was missing you guys.
Well, so like I said, let's try to like do one soon where we can talk a little bit more about work or
Okay.
Yeah.
But Darren said I was playing guitar the other day. Wait.
Yeah. So I was playing guitar the other day, and every now and then, you hit some riff and it sounded like something. You're like, wait a second, what was that? That sounds like something. What was it? And like years ago, I knew how to play this song, and I was like, oh man! And then the song just came back to me, and it's Civ. I don't know whether you say it's Civ or CIV.
Civ.
Civ. So it's Civ. Can't wait 1 minute more.
That's cool.
It's been. I hadn't heard it in like 15 years at least.
Yeah.
And randomly playing guitar one day, that kind of popped out, and I was like, I forgot about that song.
Yeah. So Civ was in the Gorilla Biscuits, like one of the old like New York hardcore bands, and then Civ is like his band, like after that. So they toured with Everclear on that first big Everclear album. So that was like my first rock concert was Everclear in Mercer Arena in Seattle.
Really?
And Civ opened for him. So I got to see Civ on that, like when that song was big, the Can't Wait 1 Minute More song. So that was
That's
cool.
the Sparkle and Fade album or right before?
Sparkle and Fade. Yeah,
Sparkle and Fade.
Oh yeah.
that was cool.
I got to see a couple. But they were with Real Big Fish and a band called Triple Fast Action. And Triple Fast Action, they never did get traction, but I loved that band.
So it was Everclear, Civ, and Triple Fast Action. The one that I saw.
You know what? And it was in the Mercer Arena. I bet you Real Big Fish was the one because I went like 2 days later up to Canada. And I bet
They
you
probably played a
that's
couple
that
nights.
show.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
Oh, that's
wild.
rad.
That's
That would have
awesome.
been a really fun show.
It was
Sure.
really good.
Fun show.
It was great. Side note, did you know that Luke Bell died last year, a couple of years ago?
I did. Yeah.
That was sad.
I did not.
Yeah, that was that was kind of how I even found out about him. I think Charlie Crockett had made a note, like a kind of a farewell to his friend, and I was like, "What? Who is this?" And then I didn't even discover him until after he's already gone. But
Yeah,
he's got-
that album. I forget the name of the song that I like, but like, I was listening to him for a couple of years, and then heard about him dying, and that was really sad.
You know, Jake tried to turn me on to a lot of these newer artists a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was so stuck in my ways, like, if it ain't Haggard or Jones, then I'm not listening to it.
I'm gonna add one more
That's what
song.
he tried to open my eyes years ago, man.
I'm gonna add one more song, "Way Down in My Soul" from Zephaniah Ohora. That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely, man. Somebody described. I played it. I sent it home to Washington to my buddy Brady Hoyle, and he's like, "Man," right away he goes, "That sounds like Merle Haggard without the prison time." that is the perfect description to Zephaniah Ohora.
He's good.
That's
I really
funny.
like him.
Yeah, really.
We're trying to see Charlie in a couple weeks, but it's during our CO visit. So it's in Port Chester, which is like an hour from here. But if we can make it work, we're gonna try to make it work.
We got tickets. One of the fun things we got to do a couple weeks ago was we got to go see Tyler Childers, and that was pretty fun.
Nice.
He was really fun live. I think he to me, he had a couple songs I liked before, but after seeing him live, I thought, man, he was pretty fun. And then the other one I'm dying to see is Vincent Neil Emerson.
I love Vincent Neil.
Oh goodness, he's so good. And just authentic. That kid is good.
25 and Wasting Time. Willie Nelson's Wall. Like he's got some real good ones.
Fly on the wall. Yeah.
Fly on Willie Nelson's Wall.
Yeah, and that 25 and Wasting Time, man, he's really good. But he's got a couple days where it's gonna be a midweek thing, so I might have to dip midweek up to Santa Barbara, but I think he's gonna play a small show up there. I think that'd be worth it.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite song of his is Manhattan Serenade. That's a really good one.
Okay, I'll have to look that one up. Then there's a couple girls that I'm really into, Summer Dean and Emily Nini. Or Emily Nini. But the three of them they're all chasing each other on tour. Like they're all going to be up, and they all one right after another. They go to Bellingham, then they come down to the Tractor in Ballard, and then they come down here.
Cool.
I keep on sending it back up to everybody at home. Like, you got to go see them. Go see these guys up in Bellingham. That'd be the
Cool.
one.
Do you know West Virginia's own Sierra Farrell?
Yeah,
I do. She's cool.
Yeah.
She's
She's
good.
been making a splash lately too.
She has. She got hooked up with like Zach Bryan a little bit, which I think got her bigger too.
Yeah, she's been. I think she just played a stadium show down here.
Yeah.
I was just listening to her this weekend.
Nice. So Zach Bryan, I talk about him all the time. He's really good, but his live stuff is like takes it to like a whole nother level.
Really?
Yeah. No, I haven't seen him live yet, but that live album that he has is like it'll get you hooked on him for sure.
All right. Well,
That's
I got
cool.
homework to do.
I'll text you some songs right when we're done.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good,
Great
fellas.
to see you guys. We'll look forward to
See you guys.
Sure.
All right, cool. Bye.